Between low-cost flights and rail connections, getting to your holiday destination has never been easier. But there is something deeply romantic about pulling into a port or seeing an impressive skyline from the view of a ship. These 30 ports serve many functions, and whether they're moving people or products, they're sure to dazzle. Cape Town, South Africa. The port of Cape Town is a lively and vivacious place to be due to its location along one of the busiest trade routes in South Africa. Many cruise ships stop here to allow visitors to explore Cape Town's many wonders, and it's not just a number of boats that will take you by surprise. The port lies in the shadow of Table Mountain, which makes it one of the most attractive ports to sail into. Sydney, Australia. Sydney Harbour is considered one of the most alluring ports in the world. It's a grand stretch of 240 kilometres lined with pretty beaches, gardens, and not to mention some of Australia's top attractions, including the Sydney Opera House. There are many activities you can get involved with at this harbour, such as visiting the landmarks, getting involved with water sports at one of the beaches, or simply taking a picnic out on one of the harbour islands. For truly unforgettable views, you can climb the summit of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Hong Kong. A top attraction in Hong Kong is without a doubt Victoria Harbour. After all, it's one of the best places to see the city's skyline, which includes the Bank of China and HSBC buildings. The Symphony of Lights takes place in the evening, a light and laser show featuring more than 40 different buildings on different sides of the harbour. It takes many by surprise, especially as the lights are synchronized with music. The harbour has a long history inextricably linked to that of the city and is a must-visit if you find yourself in Hong Kong. New York, USA. New York's harbour is extremely exciting and can be explored by taxi, ferry or ship. There are many infamous sights to spot during your tour of the harbour, including the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and the Verrazzo Bridge. You can also appreciate great views of Manhattan and Brooklyn. For years, the harbour has played an important role in the regional economy and transportation network. There are many boat trips and cruises that take place daily. Mumbai, India. Vibrant, dynamic Mumbai is home to the largest port in India, and this is where most of the country's international commerce comes from. The entrance to the harbour here offers views of the Western Ghats mountain range on the mainland. One of the harbour's islands, the Elephanta, is known for its 8th and 9th century Hindu temples. The surrounding landscape of the harbour is truly beautiful, complete with coconut palms, mango and banyan trees. Saint-Tropez, France. A harbour with a reputation, Saint-Tropez is known for its decadence, partygoers and highbrow beach life. The scenery here is something else, especially around the port. The social life of Saint-Tropez is centered around the Vieux-Port, with the best bars, clubs and restaurants all in this area. As visitors tuck into their meals, they can feast their eyes upon the quaint fishing boats and fashionable yachts docked at the harbour. There are also many vendors selling colorful paintings of the scene in Saint-Tropez. A must-visit for those relaxing at the Vieux-Port is the place aux Herbes, a lively market selling fresh produce. Venice, Italy. Venice has one of the most famous and important ports in the world. The 3,800-meter Grand Canal accommodates most of Venice's water traffic, and wends its way through the entire city. There are many ways to explore the city via its many waterways. You can go for a gondola ride, take a water bus, or even water taxi. The land is so close to water here that it is truly in its own league. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The harbour of Rio de Janeiro is a simply beautiful sight, and not just because of the colorful boats. Expect to feast your eyes upon the same mountains and rocks that amazed the Portuguese when they arrived in 1502. The best views of the harbour are from the peak of Corcovado, where the symbol of Rio de Janeiro proudly stands, the statue of Christ the Redeemer. Within this harbour is a grand total of 130 islands, including Snakes Island and Governor's Island. Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Amsterdam is essentially one giant port with picturesque canals weaving their way through the city. It's the fourth busiest cargo port in Europe, and has been in operation since the 13th century. The harbour view provides a glimpse of the entire city, and is one of the best ways to get to the capital of the Netherlands. Cruises of the harbor are also available, offering interesting anecdotes about the city and insights into how this living, breathing port works. Shanghai, China. The port of Shanghai surpassed the port of Singapore in 2010, and since then it's been considered the busiest container port in the world. The port rests next to the East China Sea, where the Yangtze River converges with the Qiantang River, and its location at the mouth of the Yangtze is what makes it so important. With an area of almost 4 square kilometers, equivalent of 470 football stadiums, the port is massive and handles almost 800 million tons every year. Kotor, Montenegro. This Mediterranean gem is one of the most beautiful medieval coastal towns in Europe. Kotor is a city steeped in history, boasting stunning scenic landscapes and historic ancient sites. The old town of Kotor boasts perfectly preserved walls and forts, so it's no surprise that the whole area is protected by UNESCO. In the past it was a town of traders and famous sailors, and today Kotor is a town of rich and diverse history. It's a popular spot for cruise ships sailing the Adriatic Sea and day trippers coming from Dubrovnik. Harlingen, the Netherlands. Harlingen is best known for its quaint canals and narrow streets, but it's also one of the oldest seaports in the Netherlands. Port of Harlingen has a rich history, going all the way back to the 13th century. Today it's no less important, as it's considered to be the most important and prosperous port in the northern Netherlands. With old merchant houses, traditional Dutch architecture and picturesque canals, Harlingen's rich history can still be felt today. Dubrovnik, Croatia. Situated at Bay of Gruz, the Dubrovnik port is a popular cruise port and the usual starting point for millions of tourists coming every year to Dubrovnik. Known as Port Gruz by locals, it's located 1.5 kilometers from Dubrovnik's historic center. The most famous Croatian coastal city is renowned for its jaw-dropping city walls, medieval landmarks and blissful beaches. To reach the medieval paradise from the port you can take a smaller boat and enter the city through the famous walls. Quite the entrance, wouldn't you say? Valletta, Malta. Extending several kilometers inland, the port of Valletta is considered to be the largest natural harbor in Europe. The port is also known by the name of Grand Harbor, and the title's well deserved. With majestic fortifications and a stunning panorama, the Grand Harbor will amaze you. Dubbed as Malta's open-air museum, the port welcomes more than 500,000 tourists every year. The city may be small, but it's packed with history and offers plenty of beautiful, medieval landmarks. Genoa, Italy. The port of Genoa is the busiest port in Italy by cargo tonnage and one of the most important and biggest ports in the Mediterranean. Situated on the slopes of the coast mountains, Genoa is today one of the crucial European ports. The city has a glorious past and it's the hometown of Christopher Columbus, so its illustrious history on the European stage should come as no surprise. With narrow cobbled street, pastel-hued buildings, charming squares and distinct landmarks, Genoa is one of the most pleasant cities in Italy. Tangier, Morocco. Situated at the point where the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean meet, Tangier is a fascinating Moroccan metropolis. Separated from Spain by just 20 miles, the city boasts a mixture of influence from Spain, Portugal, France and North Africa. It's an important port due to its geographic location, but also an impressive city with unspoiled beaches, interesting historic sites and exotic charm. Piraeus, Greece. The port of Piraeus is the largest Greek seaport and one of the most important historic ports in the world. Just 10 kilometers away from Athens, this port has a rich history dating back to 490 BC. In the past, Piraeus was one of the most powerful naval bases in the Aegean Sea, and its historic importance is still visible today. Offering ferry services to nearly all major Greek islands, the port welcomes around 20 million passengers annually. Nassau, Bahamas. The capital of the famed tropical paradise, Nassau's port is always bustling. With dreamy beaches and more than 700 coral islands, the Bahamas are the ultimate destination for a tropical retreat. The terminals can get chaotic and overcrowded with tourists, so Nassau port has garnered something of a reputation over time. Nevertheless, nothing can erase the beautiful views as your ship pulls into port. Abu Dhabi, UAE. With the Emirates' fascinating architecture and larger-than-life attitude, you can expect nothing less than greatness from the Abu Dhabi Cruise Terminal. Its contemporary design mixed with Arabic-style ornaments and colors makes the Zayed port a fascinating place to hop off during a cruise. The biggest highlight of the port is the eye-catching roof design inspired by the UAE's national tree. Carlo, Monaco. Lined with some of the most expensive yachts and sports cars in the world, Monaco's harbour is a sight to behold. It's no wonder it was used as the backdrop during some scenes in the James Bond film GoldenEye. Stroll down the harbour at sunset and watch the yachts light up the clear blue Mediterranean water. Scotland. Hidden away on the Scottish Isle of Mull is the colourful little seaside town of Tobermory. This incredibly peaceful and quaint harbour is overlooked by brightly painted houses which contrast with the dramatic Scottish landscape of the Outer Hebrides. Treat yourself to some famous Isle of Mull ice cream while you take in the serenity of your surroundings. Barcelona, Spain. Decorated with restaurants, cafes, a shopping centre, an aquarium and several marinas, you will never run out of things to do at the port of Barcelona. Take a stroll along the Rambla de Mar and watch huge cruise ships mooring before heading along to Barceloneta Beach for a cocktail at sunset. Honfleur, France. Across the Seine estuary from Le Havre, one of Europe's largest commercial ports, is the Norman town of Honfleur. This beautiful, historic harbour is known for being the starting point for expeditions which led to the foundation of Canada by Jacques Cartier in the 16th century. Its colourful buildings and still waters make it a wonderfully peaceful haven. Antwerp, Belgium. Tucked away in northern Belgium, Antwerp ranks as Europe's second largest port, and among some of the largest in the world. However, what makes this port really special is its amazing port house, where a breathtaking contemporary glass building appears to balance on top of a restored fire station in a wonderful collision of old and new. Chic cafes and eateries abound in the port, which is also home to the MAS, a massive museum dedicated to Antwerp's past and present. Spain. Up in the northwest corner of Spain is the city of Vigo. From its port, you can visit the astonishingly stunning Size Islands, with crystal clear water and smooth, white sands. The port also has great restaurants and a shopping centre, as well as a famous old fish market. Corsica. This bright and bold port is situated in the northeast of the island of Corsica, and although it is French territory, it's actually closer to Italy than its Italian neighbor, Sardinia. The old port is lined with cute, colorful fishing boats and cafes. Sit with a coffee or popular regional wine and admire the view of the Église Saint Jean Baptiste Bastia from the water's edge. Denmark. Copenhagen's Nyhavn is possibly one of the most photographed harbors in Europe. Famous for its dazzling rainbow houses which run parallel to the water, this picturesque port is like something from a fairy tale. In summer, watch tourists flock to the many restaurants situated along the harbor as the sun shines down on the glistening water below. Copenhagen, Denmark. Copenhagen's Nyhavn is possibly one of the most photographed harbors in Europe. Famous for its dazzling rainbow houses which run parallel to the water, this picturesque port is like something from a fairy tale. In summer, watch tourists flock to the many restaurants situated along the harbor as the sun shines down on the glistening water below. Stockholm, Sweden. Spread out over an archipelago with 14 main islands, Stockholm strikes an impressive pose when arriving by boat. With extensive areas for cruise ships, yachts and cargo and plenty of waterways to accommodate them, it's sometimes even referred to as the Venice of the North. There are two main cruise ship ports in the city, both of which are close to the center. There are even guest harbors where visitors sailing through can moor up for the night. Naples, Italy. Sun-drenched buildings and imposing Mount Vesuvius create a striking contrast as you cruise into one of the largest harbors in the Mediterranean. It has a long history dating back to the 1200s, waxing and waning in importance depending on the influence the region was wielding abroad. Today, Naples welcomes about 1.5 million seafaring passengers annually, and the port is equipped for the traffic. Many of the city's sites are close to the harbor, making for easy walking to and from the vessel.